From the Watergate building in Washington, this is Hotline TV. Now here are Hotline editors Amy Walter and John Mercurio.
Welcome back to Hotline TV. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. Rudy Giuliani spent this last weekend in Florida attempting to pump up his presidential campaign. But as he is forging ahead with his Super Tuesday strategy, kind of dissing on New Hampshire, John McCain is on a roll. So Amy Walter, was this weekend a turning point for John McCain?
Yeah, remember John McCain who was running for president?
I do very well.
There's a point at which he was the front runner, remember that? Yeah.
Sure.
So, newspaper endorsements.
McComeback? Is that what we're talking about? The McComeback kid? You like that?
Yeah, that was good. Did you know in New Hampshire that there was a comeback kid?
There was indeed, because he came in first. Oh, I'm sorry, second in New Hampshire.
Here's what I don't understand. First of all, our newspaper endorsements, we can go back and we can spend an entire show on whether newspaper
But that would be a boring show that I would not even watch.
We wouldn't even watch that. But I will say this, among Republican primary voters, really? Who consider many of these to be liberal-leaning?
Not the Des Moines Register. I think more so, not so the Globe. No, I don't think the Globe either. I think the Union Leader, which has also endorsed McCain. But go ahead.
That is true. All right, so we do that.
Not all endorsements are created equal.
No, they're not. All right. Now, with Rudy leaving New Hampshire, the one person who is competing with him for independent voters, or at least he says he's still playing, but we'll see, isn't there anymore. And those independent voters now, at least in the last MUR poll, seem more open than ever to voting for a Republican. You put Joe Lieberman out of there, which I think is kind of a hit or miss. It's not as if he's going to appeal to Democratic-leaning independents, of course. But he reminds people, especially in New Hampshire, a place where they don't really love the war, about the war.
He doesn't help McCain among independents on that one issue, you're right, but he does help bolster him, I think, among Republicans. But look, I think the question of independence is multifaceted. I think a lot of what happens in New Hampshire among independents depends largely on what happens in Iowa among Democrats. Because look, if Hillary wins Iowa, independents in New Hampshire are going to see that and think the race is over. On the Democratic side, they're going to swing over to the Republican side. Oh, a disagreement. I love it.
I love this.
And they're going to swing over to the Democratic, to the Republican side and vote in the Republican primary, and that's going to help McCain.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I think that if you're an independent in New Hampshire, you are picking sides much less based on the Iowa perspective than it is on the kind of candidate. I mean, I don't think Obama's going to suddenly deflate if he doesn't win Iowa, in the same way that John Edwards
I don't either, but I think as opposed to Obama winning in Iowa, that all of a sudden sort of invigorates the independent base for Democrats in New Hampshire. I think it's sort of a lot of independents who were sort of thinking that it was important to vote in the Democratic race will say, oh, all right, well, look, she won that. She was already on a roll. She has the infrastructure. New Hampshire is already a very welcoming place for the Clintons. It's where Bill Clinton became the comeback kid in 1992.
All right, well, what about this theory that has been raised recently, that McCain will come back to being the establishment candidate?
Well, that's
that the establishment comes back to him post-New Hampshire. Let's say he wins New Hampshire. Then we have Michigan, competitive in Michigan. Obviously, the place
competitive in Michigan, but I think Romney has sort of tried to, more so than Giuliani, has made that into a firewall.
That's true. And then we go to South Carolina. So if you think that by some point, if McCain is able to be successful, Romney loses in Iowa, then we talk about where does the money go?
Romney
is it really going to go to
Huckabee? Like a French souffle, and you can quote me on that. I think Romney might even take third in Iowa. There, I said it.
Behind Fred Thompson?
Behind Fred Thompson. I'm a little drunk today, so I'm talking like that. By drunk, I mean cold medication, but that's there. I've said it. I think Romney takes third place in Iowa. I would be willing to bet money on it if anybody wants to.
Wow. Hello, Chuck Grassley. Well.
There you go. But I'm sorry, that's all the time you're allowed to see us today, so we will have to let you go.
Do come back tomorrow to see if he's still on Dayquil, and we'll still have fun on Hotline TV.